In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to sculpt irresistible pumping beads. I'm going to show you how to use paint to embellish your beads, and stick around for the third pumpkin bead, the butternut shape. This is the one that I like most. Hi, I'm Mihaela from Learn Polymer Clay, and let's dive in. And I am also going to show you what to do with beads with very large holes. This is scrap clay from a previous pumpkin bead lesson, and you'll find the link in the description. I'm not going to use this for the moment. I'm going to use it for the third idea of pumpkin bead. For the moment, I'm just rolling some white clay into a large ball, and then I gently press this ball against my working table to have a flat end. And in fact, now my bead is slightly oval. And then I used a toothpick to make the hole inside the bead and the indentations all around the bead. So I decided to wrap this bead in beautiful gold metal leaf, and I just put the bead on top of some gold metal leaf, and then I use my fingers to gently press the metal leaf into the raw clay. Use scraps to decorate any areas that, in case you do not manage to decorate the entire area the first time. I used again the skewer to poke the holes and to enhance the indentations all around the bead. And you will notice a crackling effect of the metal leaf because we are pressing on the clay and on the metal leaf, but I like this effect. And this enhances the faux ceramic look of the bead, in my opinion. Next, I put again the bead on top of a skewer, and I have prepared some white polymer clay, and I'm using a needle tool and white paint to make a narrow pattern on the embossed areas in between the indentations. And I'm just painting 4 arrows, and I will do this all around the bead. And I really like how the finished bead looks with this hand painted pattern, and it really adds a beautiful finishing touch, and it enhances the faux ceramic look of the bead. Then you just have to put this bead on the toothpick. You'll have to put it on top of a larger cutter and let the paint dry. Then I'm going to use some yellow polymer clay, and I've initially rolled the clay into a round bead, but then I've used my fingers to make an oval bead. And I'm going to use a stencil, an abstract stencil with very large holes, and I'm pressing the stencil into the bead, and in the same time I'm texturing the bead. And I'm using a brush and some white paint, and I'm painting dots on the raised areas created by the stencil pressed into the clay. And I'm just drawing dots, 2 dots in some areas, 3 dots in other areas. And here's the bead with the textured pattern and the dotted design. And I like how this looks. It's a cute, funny bead. And again, I've put the bead on a skewer, but it's better to use toothpick to end up with the thinner holes. Use a smoothing tool to smooth the upper part and the bottom of the bead, and put it on a metal cutter and let the paint dry. For the third idea, which is in fact my favorite one, I'm aiming for a butternut shape and for a comics look for this bead. So now is the time to use the scrap clay colored with yellow, light orange and dark orange chalk pastels. And I've just mixed the clay, marbled the clay. And again, I rolled initially a round large bead, and then I've rolled it in between my hands to make like an oval bead. and then I just used my fingers and I pressed in the middle of the bead and in the upper part to create this butternut shape. Of course, gloves are recommended for this project because we are pressing a lot on the clay and it's better to use gloves. And then I used the etching tool. I think it's the middle one. You have 3 sizes. I think this is the middle size. And I just created a pattern from the upper part to the bottom with the etching pearl tool, just pressing it slightly into the clay, just enough to have this round embossed pattern. And then I used the tip of the etching pearl tool and some white paint to color these dots. You can use a toothpick or a needle tool. And I decided to add a little bit more color to this bead and make it pop up a little bit more. So I just used the brush and light green and dark green chalk pastels, and I used them to color the bottom part of the bead in between the dotted lines. I added a little bit of yellow and light orange to the mix, and I continued coloring the bottom. You can use baby wipes and remove the excess or remove the color in some areas if you think you've done too much, if you think it's too much. And then I decided to mix the paint that I already have on my working table with green pastels and add more color to some of the dots, not all the dots, only some of them. And then I added more green chalk pastel and I added even more color to some of the dots. I really want this butternut bead to pop up because I had some metal scraps from the previous bead on my working table. I decided to add a little bit of metal scraps in some areas of the bead. Why not? For the faux ceramic effect. And because I wanted this bead to stand out a little bit more, to have more contrast on the bead, I decided to use the applicator and a little bit of orange chalk pastels and color the lines in between the dotted pattern and color the areas in between the dotted lines. And I really like how this bead looks now. And when you are happy with the look of the beads, you can put them in the oven and bake them for 45 minutes at the recommended temperature. Because we've applied metal leaf on this pumpkin bead, you will have to use varnish or resin to protect the metal leaf and enhance the ceramic look of the bead. So I've applied UV resin using a brush. I've used the lamp to cure the resin for 2 consecutive minutes. And then, because I ended up with a very large hole for this bead, I decided to make an interesting attaching system. And in order to do so, I'm using 18 gauge gold color wire. I use the pliers to make a loop, and this loop is larger than the hole of the bead. And then I just wrapped the short end of the wire around the loop. I put the wire through the bead. I've also put a beautiful cat's eye drop bead that I thought would complement this idea of an irresistible pumpkin bead. And then again, I've used round nose pliers to make a loop, and then I wrapped the short end around this loop. And I personally like the way the bead looks like with this attaching system very much. And you can attach a dangle element or a tassel in the bottom. I hope you like these irresistible pumpkin bead ideas, and if you like this lesson, here's what to watch next.